Well, thank you for that. Some sensible words there, because we've had some useful and constructive meetings with members from the coalition, and Councillor Hunt and I were there. I think the way I would look at this is to say, well, actually, we acknowledge that the coalition has some specific requests, but the overall aims are much looser. It is a coalition rather than a single organisation. And in terms of the way I'd read the report, I have to say my reading of it is that it's not that we actually can't, as a matter of black and white law, join the coalition, but to acknowledge that it would be open us up to some litigation risk, because, of course, the whole context of procurement of the council is a legally complex area. There's some quite tough rules around it. But let's just go back a step, and my point is that full council voted for us in this committee to look at joining the coalition, to consider joining the coalition. And of course, full council by a majority voted for that, obviously with the implication that this was the right thing to do. To be fair, this is Sheffield. We don't have a lot of direct involvement with the supplying the military in Palestine, Israel. It is largely symbolic, but the point is that we have to do something, even if it is symbolic, for just the reasons that so many people have made, that we can't just stand by and do nothing. So I was one of the people at full council who supported the step towards the council formally joining the coalition, and I would still be in favour of that. So I would propose that I'm likely to vote against recommendation 1, which is where we're being advised to reject that. I think we can join the coalition, and that is notwithstanding the risk there. So this means the council taking on some risk of challenge. But going back to the point about that, I mean, there are serious points being made about this council took a very principled stand against apartheid in 1981. And you have to think about the context of that time. Context of that time was, I am sure there were people in Sheffield back in 1981 who weren't very keen on black people in South Africa having the same rights as white people. I'm sure that wasn't unanimous in the way that the city looked at it. There would have been divisions in the city then. The council then took a principled stance. It set out a number of things about how it would use its economic influence to do that. You have to remember, this was the time of the Thatcher government, and Thatcher saw Nelson Mandela as a terrorist and the ANC as a terrorist organisation. That was the prevailing view of that government at that time, and subsequently passed law and this refers to the Local Government Act of 1988, passed under the Thatcher government specifically to try and reduce the impact of councils speaking out on international political issues that do affect us, and we know it affects us because of the number of demonstrations in the city. So that just goes to indicate why I think we should be joining the coalition, but for this one I'm proposing we vote against recommendation 1. So I'm going to invite anyone else to join me on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.